It is a unique week for Colorado. Jared Polis sworn in as the state's 43rd governor on Tuesday, and he just finished his first ever State of the State address. Also unique because I'm sitting at the anchor desk on the noon show on 9 News, and we just interrupted a Denver Broncos head coach news conference to interview the new governor of Colorado, Jared Polis. So if you have hate mail, Governor Polis, what's the address over at the state capitol?
That's not my fault, Marshall. I didn't know that they were going to schedule the news conference right now. What are they saying? Did they get a new quarterback or what?
No, we're just introducing the new coach right now. Vic Fangio is talking about how he's going to change the Broncos right now, so that's what we're talking about here.
Well, you know what? I think Democrat, Republican, Independent, I think we all agree that the Broncos could use some change, and so I'm ready to put on my orange, and hopefully it'll be changed in the right direction.
Well, in the speech you just gave, we're talking serious topics about the opioid epidemic. In that speech, you focused on addiction prevention and access to effective treatment. How do safe injection sites fit into that conversation?
So when we talk about access to effective treatment, all too often what happens is people are picked up on a criminal charge. Could be dealing, could be using in a public area. They're then put into the prison system. There are some treatment and detox through the prison system, but it's a very expensive way to do it for taxpayers. It's much better to have more effective and more cost-effective ways to have substance abuse treatment outside of the criminal justice system.
With Denver talking about having the first safe injection site in the city and the lawmakers at the Capitol having to deal with this, do you support that idea?
Well, there haven't been any bills introduced on that yet, Marshall. I mean, the way I sort of philosophically approach these things is I certainly like the idea of local control. Even ideas I don't like. I'm not, running for mayor. I'm not running for city council. I don't think the state should control everything. It depends, frankly, on what they're asking. If they're asking, is this where the state troopers are going to focus their law enforcement resources or the Colorado Bureau of Investigation? The answer is obviously not. There's a lot of other higher priorities of real criminal syndicates and crime and smuggling operations that are the focus of state law enforcement. I think, frankly, they want to see how it interacts with federal law enforcement resources as well. But no, we have not received a particular request from Denver, and there's not been any bills that have been introduced yet here in the legislature on that topic that I'm aware of.
Previous Governor John Hickenlooper was always concerned about the state's reputation, and we led and continue to lead because of the legalization of pot. How far is too far for Colorado to lead on allowing safe drug use?
I think that, well, of course, I think that, John Hickenlooper was a great governor. It's probably one way that we're different in that I think that part of our state brand, part of our reputation is innovation. We want to encourage our cities and counties to try new things. If cities and counties want to have legal marijuana stores, they can. They don't have to in our state. We're kind of a state that is great for setting the trends for the future and trying out new things in different areas. And what works in Sterling might not work in Colorado Springs. What works in Fort Collins might not work in Denver. But we really want to empower people across our whole state to help innovate and help make our state work better. And some of those ideas will work out and some won't.
I actually love the name of a new office you created, Office of Saving People Money on Healthcare. It reminds me of that one candidate who ran on the Rent is Too Damn High party. How does a new office lower patient costs and prescription drugs?
So, that's one of the sort of general problems in government is there's all these really bureaucratic offices and titles. We wanted to be very clear what this office does. The Office of Saving People Money on Healthcare does just that. My Lieutenant Governor, Diane Primavera, will head it up, and they will be the center focus point in my administration to reducing prescription drug costs. We talked in the speech about importing drugs from Canada and seeing whether we can do that under Medicaid as well as private payers. Having a reinsurance program, which means that the high-cost cases, that few percent of healthcare cases that actually really drive costs for the rest of us because we're all paying for it with increased insurance, that those would go into a reinsurance pool, as a number of other states have done, and the payments to providers would be capped at 150% of Medicare. So this will push down rates for the rest of us. We hope to show some real significant savings for you on your monthly health care premiums.
One more thing for you, Governor. This morning, prior to your State of the State, Denver Public School Superintendent Susana Cordova sent out an update on the potential DPS teacher strike. She referenced your name, saying that the district will use every resource that you and your team can offer to avoid a strike. What's your involvement?
Well, of course, we would love to avoid a strike. In the coming days, I expect to be talking with both union representatives as well as the superintendent's office to do what we can to bring the sides together. Denver is, of course, either the largest or second largest school district in our state. It always goes back and forth with Jeffco. And we want to make sure that we can do the best we can to prevent services from being interrupted for students and families who rely on Denver Public Schools.
Do you support teachers the ability to strike?
Well, of course, workers have the ability to strike. There's no question. I think what we want to do is try to bring both sides together so that there is no strike, and we'll certainly do whatever we can as a facilitator. I understand I think they're in a formal mediation process now. Our incoming Director of Department of Labor and Employment, Joe Barella, has been briefed on this, and will be playing a role, as well as I will, in bringing both sides together and hopefully preventing a strike.
Governor Polis, we thank you for your time after the State of the State, and if anybody's upset about the Broncos, we'll get you the address for the Capitol shortly. Thanks so much for your time. We'll be right back.
Go Broncos.
Subscribe to the Next YouTube channel for the best of Next and some other stuff.